Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Series. It is Wonder Wednesday, and I am here, Denise Stegall, your host of the Wonder Series. We are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So set your clock, set in a reminder to listen to the podcast Wednesdays at noon. Wonder Series is sponsored by Living Healthy List, and you can go to livinghealthylist.com. Check out what we got going on over there. You can read the podcast there. You can even read about the podcast over there. So lots of ways to get this great information that we're going to share with you today. So why Wonder Series? My goal here is to help you to think outside the box, to start to wonder what would be like if you looked at it from a different perspective, if you opened yourself to other possibilities and the opportunities that come your way that maybe today or yesterday you wouldn't really have taken into consideration. But we want you to take all of those amazing things into consideration and wonder how that can help you lead that healthy, happy life that works for you, a life on your terms. So I'm really excited to talk with my guest today. My guest is Teresa Wornstaff, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Teresa. What does she do? Oh, she is a catalyst for your greatest potential. Intriguing, yes. So Teresa is an influential catalyst for graceful change, working with high-powered women from all over the globe. Born a high-level intuitive, she supports women with her laser intuition, 30 years in corporate and 20 years of consulting. So this is a lady who knows her stuff, everyone. Teresa brings the trifecta of expertise, business, life, and intuition to her workshops, online classes, and individual and group coaching. She leads a worldwide audience and shares her wisdom, her heart, and guidance to ignite your inner flame, your brilliance, and your purpose. Teresa, welcome.
It is so good to be here, Denise. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just really thrilled to chat with you because, so many people live a life that is okay. Yeah. And I think with what we're going to chat about today is, life should be a lot more exciting than okay. It should be a lot more exciting than fine. And, how we can do that. So tell us a little bit about you personally. I've read your bio. This is who you are on paper, but who is Teresa really?
Thank you for asking. I think what I've discovered, especially over the last few years, is that at the core, I'm a high-level intuitive. I see, feel, know all the things that help me support others in realizing their greatness. And when we live from that internal place of self-knowing, magic happens. That's when the miracles start to show up. I spent, as you mentioned earlier, 30 years in corporate. 20 of those 30 were consulting because I was constantly searching for something that felt right in me. A way that I could move in and express my brilliance without being told, you're too sensitive, that won't work. All the things, right?
Especially in corporate.
In yes, yep. And so for me, being able to self-express from a place of authenticity and support others in doing that is really my heart. That's where I live.
When was it obvious that you needed to step back from corporate and expand?
The universe gave me several signals. I didn't take every one of them. I have been an entrepreneur for about 20 years, off and on, circumstantially. It was always meeting somebody who needed something I could give, something I could help them with. It was always opportunities that dropped into my lap that I would say yes to. Hence so much of my time in corporate being consulting.
Sure.
But I never committed. I never committed to myself and said, you know what, I'm going to trust that this is my path. I'm going to trust that I'm going to be safe, that I'm worthy, all the things that we struggle with. So it was really 2020 when everything shut down, and we all did this deep inquiry into what is my life looking like, and do I really like it? Do I want it? Then I gave myself permission to do that and delve deep, go deep within.
It's interesting when in 2020, a lot of people did that deep dive. A lot of people are still in the midst of that.
Agreed.
And I think, for some of us, we kind of went, okay, nope, this is my path. For other people, though, that are still searching.
Yeah.
What is your advice, your message to them?
Good job. Keep going, because it is an evolution. As I said, there's so many times in my life where the universe pointed me in a direction that I didn't choose. I was too scared. I was afraid. I was a single mom of 2 kids, and I couldn't imagine self-sustaining in my own business. So keep moving. Your job, let me back up. Life doesn't happen to you, it reflects you. So that piece of inner world that you're cultivating, that you're evolving, is all you need to respond to. And your only job is to take one step. Allow the universe to respond to one step. That's how to manifest. That's how to dance with the universe and allow the universe to respond. Because when you take one step, you've evolved. You're being different than you were one step back. So if you're not there yet, congratulations, none of us are. It doesn't stop until we stop breathing.
That's so funny that you said that. I just said that to somebody just a few minutes ago. The life is the journey. The destination is kind of the day that you take your last breath. And, that's the ultimate destination, right? I mean, we're all working that way.
Yes.
But I think, life really is that journey. So let's step back, because you've mentioned, universe and, universe kind of conspiring to help us and be with us. For those people who are going, Teresa, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because some people get it, some people have heard it, but I think it's always a good idea to kind of step back and, and talk about, what exactly are we talking about when we're talking universe, we're talking about manifesting.
Thank you for asking. I actually, in March of 2021, received a download of information on exactly what the individual steps of manifestation are and what the construct is. And I have a class on my website for those interested, but here it is in a nutshell. Everything that is evolving within you, everything that is within you is what the universe has to respond to. So your thoughts, your feelings, and your desires. So when we open to the universe and say, yes, I want to manifest with you, we allow it to give us information, synchronicities, phone calls. Your attention is drawn to a billboard. Your attention is drawn to a sign in the store. Your attention is drawn to a person. Somebody says something in a conversation 3 feet away, but one phrase is highlighted for you. That is the universe communicating with you. It is drawing your attention to that which wants to be known next. And that's only our responsibility, is what is next. So as we're manifesting, it's being curious. It's being open to receive information, allowing it into our field and responding. So we take a piece of information that we received, whether from the billboard or the conversation, we take our heart's desires, we put them together and we say, wow, there's a fit, or not quite a fit, but let's do this. And then we hold that new desire in our heart, reflect it into the universe, and then the universe responds. Everything's energy. Everything is energy. And the most powerful energy is our emotions. When we feel something, when we can go into our hearts and feel something so powerfully that it makes us want to cry, that's when the universe says yes. And it conspires for your good. It wants you to be happy, healthy, successful, abundant. It wants all of that for us. When it doesn't show up, 100% of the time, we're getting in the way. We're trying to control something. We're trying to prescribe. We're trying to live somebody else's expectations, which that is called living by default. When we have society dictating what we're supposed to do with our university degree, or our parents, or our partners, or anybody other than ourselves telling us who we are and what we should do, then you're living by default. And the universe will respond to that, but you're not going to love the results. Is that clear?
It does. And it brings another question. When people are stuck in a circumstance, stuck, their word, in a situation or circumstance, how do we help them clear up that the idea that they're stuck in this area?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I know for sure I've been there a dozen or more times, and I think we all experience it. When we're stuck, there's two imperatives. One, we acknowledge that we've created the situation, that we are the authors of our stuckness, and choose it. You know what? I'm choosing to be stuck, and then you can respond to what's authentically happening. When we acknowledge that we're responsible, then we can take action, because all of a sudden we've moved from being a victim of stuckness to being sovereign and exercising our free will to choose what we want. Now, I'm saying that in simple wording, and I really want to acknowledge for everyone who's listening and who identifies with being stuck, it doesn't mean it's easy. It more often than not, it is not easy. And here's what I want you to take to heart. The universe, when you choose self-responsibility and sovereignty, when you choose to move through stuck and not be a victim, the universe will respond. It will bring you that person to work with. It will bring you an opportunity. It will bring you knowledge. Something will come into your world that will be the next step to moving you out of being stuck. And how do you know it's the right next step? Because that's important as well, right?
Yes.
You close your eyes and you feel it. So Scott Shute wrote a book called Full Body Yes. And I believe that this should be taught in elementary school. If your body feels yes, it's a yes. If your mind is trying to talk you out of it, say, thank you, mind. I so appreciate your wisdom and your mental constructs, but your perspective is very narrow. And I have information that's coming to me through the feeling body. And you know what? That's where we're going.
It's kind of that gut feeling that we have. It's funny that you said that we should teach this to kids in elementary school. When my niece was young, maybe she was 11 or 12. She would, until COVID, she would come out and spend a week with me every summer. And one rainy day, she and I were watching the movie The Secret. And she sat there, glued to the television. And at one point, she looked at me and she was angry. And I was like, what? She's like, why hasn't anybody ever told me this before? And she's like, do you know how much easier this would have made X, Y, Z? And she was like 12.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I just did.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how she thinks of things very differently since that day. Now, sometimes she can get stuck in the, the fear and the what ifs. I mean, she was always that kid who, well, this is what I want to do. What do I need to do to get there? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And of course, when she was in high school, I kept saying to her, well, you've got to graduate from high school first. So do what you got to do to get there. And then the next step will, it'll show itself.
Yeah.
And I think this is where many of us struggle. We're impatient.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a bit.
I am.
I know, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
2 hands for me.
Oh, sister. So impatient. And it's hard because you just, the two things I used to tell myself, okay, universe, I just want a map. Just give me a map. Yep. I'll do the things. You just tell me where to go. And it's not happening fast enough. And that's when you surrender, because our vision for what is available to us is so narrow. It's so finite. And when we surrender into what the universe wants to give us, it opens worlds that we haven't dreamed of. And so the universe wants to plant these dreams within us. And I can feel the energy is just, it's so strong right now, because there's so many people that need to hear you're absolutely worthy exactly where you're at. You're perfect and beautiful and amazing, and you deserve the world. Will you receive it? And so surrender, relax. It's not a race.
That's a good point. A friend of mine often says, stay in the step you're in. No matter where you are or what you're doing, do good at what, in that step. You can't skip steps.
Yep. That is the truth.
You have to go through each of them, because even, because a lot of people do, we try to skip steps.
Yeah. But
that by doing that, you may be further along on the, the game board, so to speak. Yeah. But you've missed the lessons, that those essential lessons that you need to continue to move forward.
Yeah, and just like being stuck, all those lessons are wisdom building blocks. They are ways for you to grow wiser. We have 2 imperatives in this life. 1, be our best self, evolve that inner being. And then number 2, give it away. Give your brilliance to everybody in the grocery store, at the auto shop, everywhere. Because when you are authentically loving and kind and playful and happy, that's what you bring into your world. And that, and I'm speaking from somebody who spent many years in corporate, that is authentic influence. If you want to influence somebody, be your best self and show them your heart, not your mind, your heart.
I like the way you said that, because, in our worlds, we kind of throw the phrase, heart-centered around a lot.
Yeah.
And, in business, sometimes it's kind of, okay. But I think you're right. When it's authentic and it comes from your heart, it shows.
Yep.
One doesn't need to say, I have a heart-centered business. I'm a heart-centered person.
Yeah.
If you are, it's just there.
Yeah. And when you are, and again, this is putting on the business hat, and when you are heart-centered, and that is what your leadership, your C-suite empowers in your whole company, that's when you create organic profits. You don't need to hunt down the clients or the vendors. They seek you out because you are who they want to do business with. And organic success is the evolution of our business systems. We're seeing glimpses of it now, but it's growing. Sounds True has a program called the Inner MBA. I've done that twice, and it's thousands from all over the world who believe this and who are stand for it and are creating it. So the evolution is happening everywhere, literally everywhere. It's exciting.
It is exciting. You know, one of the things that I think is always so sad is, you know, we see so much on the news and social media. We see all the negative stuff. There's so much positive. I believe wholeheartedly that people are good.
Yeah.
And that good things are meant for us.
Yeah.
A minute ago, you alluded to, like, you know, kind of everything being from the inside.
Yeah.
So your whole life, as you say, is an inside job. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. How woo do we want to get?
We can get woo.
All right, let's go there. So when you look at physics, it talks about how the world mirrors back to us what is going on within us. And control is an illusion. The only thing that we can control is who we are, what we feel, what we believe, and how we occur. And again, it goes back to, how do you want to influence? You know, life doesn't happen to you, it reflects you. So when we cultivate this inside, this inner world, then we're able to create the outer world that our heart desires. So it is absolutely an inside job. As I said before, our first imperative is self-evolution. And that doesn't stop. It may be our first imperative, but it is our lifelong imperative. We are constantly evolving to be the best we can be. And that includes making mistakes. It includes failing. It includes getting stuck. You know, I was talking with the client this morning, and we likened humans to trees. You know, we're grounded on the planet. We have access to the universal energy through our treetops. And just like the tree, we grow and then we rest, and then we grow and then we rest. So learning your rhythms, learning how to cultivate the best of your insides, learning to listen to your heart and respect your mind. Learning how, learning what is your form of intuition and cultivating that, because that is your communication system with the universe. Every single human on this planet, every human on this planet is intuitive. Some have completely turned it off, but most of us, it's latent or quiet. So cultivate it. What is your form of intuition and how can it grow? One of the most common forms is empathy. Every single human is an empath. As a baby, we communicate with the world, receiving and giving information through empathy. We feel into our surroundings. Are we safe? Are we fed? Are we warm? Are the people we love around us? And if they're not, then we cry out. So it is an inside job, and it's nuanced, and it's fascinating and it's fun. It's the journey, right?
Yeah, I love fun. I think everything, every day we should have some time when we can have fun, when it can be about what we love, fill our cup. And I love how you said, listen to your heart and respect your mind. How does one, because I think that's it's easy to say, I think it's really hard to do. Because even I go through periods where I'm like, not so good. So how do we start to cultivate that?
Well, it's practice. It's like the piano. We will learn to play through continually practicing. And one of the ways that you can do that is, as I said before, lean into how you're feeling. Really, when your mind comes up with ideas or information, say, thank you. That is great information. Let me stop and feel what it feels like in my body. Does it feel actionable or does it feel not quite aligned? And the more you do this, the more that you will find you're on your optimal path. And we can manipulate data, right? We do it all the time. And that's what our mind is. It's data that we've cultivated from our past and projected into our future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's limited, right? It's very limited. Whereas our feelings experience information from without and from within. And then it tells us if it feels right within us or whether it's not optimal for us. So it's trusting that inner voice, that intuition, and cultivating our intuition.
So sometimes that inner voice doesn't say nice things.
Yep.
How do we know that? And I think I know the answer. I think I know what you're going to say. How do we know when that negative inner critic, that inner voice is telling us something very negative or bad?
Yeah.
How do we know if that's really the case or not?
Yeah. So I have two answers to that. First, it's always your mind. It's never your heart, because you would never speak to another human being that way.
Very good.
And secondly, those thoughts, those judgments, whether for ourselves or for others, always come from a time in our life where we've created a belief to keep ourselves safe. If you are playing with a bunch of kids in the neighborhood and you had a great time, you went back the next day and an older sibling shows up and shuns you or shames you, you're going to react differently the next time you come into a group of kids, right? And what that shaming voice from that older kid will become our own. We'll adopt it to keep ourselves safe.
Mm-hmm.
So 100% of the time, that voice in our head that says you're not good enough, you can't do it, you don't deserve that, all of that is simply knee-jerk reactions of our very younger self to situations where they felt we were in danger. And how do we navigate those? Is not by putting them in a bubble and pushing them away, not by ignoring them, because that doesn't work. They'll just come back stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It's by acknowledging and saying, thank you. You did such a good job taking care of me when I was 5. Thank you so much. And look, I'm not 5 anymore. I've got this. So when you feel that shame, come to me and I'll hold you and I hug you and I'll love you and you'll feel safe. And we don't need to feel that shame anymore. And it's practice. Because when we try to reprogram a belief, that belief will get stronger because it's fighting for its life. It's fighting to continue to exist. It existed for a reason. It had a purpose. You've taken its purpose away. And so now you need to replace it with love, with kindness, with new thoughts. You don't need to be shameful. You're amazing. You're wonderful. I see you. I love you. And when you start having those dialogues with that place within you, it starts to shift. And your perspective on the world starts to shift. You become less judgmental of others, because our judgment of others is simply that which we don't like in ourselves. And the universe starts to see you in a different way and respond to you in a different way. So where that shame would have held you back from being that great leader that we talked, that new business leader that we talked about, now you can step into it because you're confident. You know you've got this. You are worthy. You're amazing. And the world needs you. Listen, the world needs every single one of us to show up in our brilliance. And that is how we're going to change the world, one person at a time. And it's a journey. It's an evolution.
It absolutely is. It's funny. We could continue talking a lot. I just love what you just said, and in a way, like, I want to end there, but I don't. So I won't. So yes. So it's this, we all need to be on, and we're all on our own journey, and to share our brilliance. One of the things I think many of us do, because we feel we're not worthy, whatever it may be, we get a lot of certifications, we do a lot of training. So our brain knows that we have all of this knowledge and we know we can do it. We know we can do it, but we don't feel it here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the default society that we've constructed. If you get the degree, if you get the job, if you go up the ladder, it's all about training the brain. And we've actually ostracized our feelings, which is sad because they're the most intelligent system we have access to. The most intelligent system we have access to, not our brains, our feelings, our heart. Oh. And that slow shift away from, it sounds like a good idea. On paper, it pencils out, to something feels off, just doesn't feel quite right yet. Let's keep evolving this idea until it moves in the right direction. That's the paradigm that we need to create. And we're moving in that direction. It's people like us and these conversations that create the container for it. And the more that we share, the more that we empower, the greater it grows.
And I think people really are ready to hear the messages.
Yeah.
They want to, we see what the world is, but really the world is, it's a big world.
Yeah.
And for most of us, our world is right here in front of us. Yes. It's it's the people that we touch. It's, the kindness that we can give to our communities. Global, to change the global world, we need to change ourselves, the people we love. We need to touch people, and those people can touch others.
Yep. It's like the match. We light ourselves and then we light somebody else, or the candle, and you just keep going. Yep. And when we light one person, they'll light three. I mean, it's exponential, right? That's what this is about. And I want to go back to a comment you made earlier about the news and social media and all the negativity. As you cultivate that inner world, some of those things are no longer going to align with your value systems. I stopped watching news in early 2000s. I don't turn it on. I don't believe in it. I don't think that it is healthy or supportive. Does that mean I'm ignorant of world news? Absolutely not. There are other ways to get the information, and they'll show up. And curate your social media feeds. I cannot underestimate the power of curating what you receive on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Pick your social media platform. Curate it to feed you what you want to receive. Align it to your values. When you understand your values, they become your boundaries, right? And if you are hearing something that doesn't align with your values, it pulls you out of alignment. So you're no longer in that self-empowered state. And even more, you're now feeding into the narrative of victimhood. So these constructs of negativity are actually energy systems in and of themselves. They're called morphogenic fields. And when we give our attention to that negativity, it grows.
Makes sense.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, what you put your attention to
grows. Yeah. So I'm especially being powerful energetically. I'm very careful what I give my attention to and where I put my energy. Is that something I believe in, and does it align with my values? So it's a good thing to ponder. It's a good thing to consider.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny that, talking about social media, I was having lunch earlier. I had, 20 minutes to kind of just sit and chat with myself, or sit and chat, sit and eat. And I don't do it often, but I actually did pick up my phone. I was just kind of curious, what are people posting on Instagram? As a business owner, I'm on social media, but I don't look at it very often. And it was kind of amazing to see, as this is something that I have not curated. Advertisement. They must know that I'm a woman over 50, because all of these advertisements about face creams and facelifts and these kinds of things.
Yep.
And I mean, it was one after the other. And I have to say, by the time I had scrolled through for about 3 minutes, I started thinking to myself, oh, do I need that? Oh my gosh. Did not have that thought ahead of time.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I hate to say, but in a way that it's manipulative, but it's a bit manipulative.
It is. And that's the old paradigm of business, right? How can we convince you you're lacking so you'll buy my thing? How can I convince you you're amazing and I can enhance your life? I mean, who wants? I mean, that's an obvious, right?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Let's weigh those. I go with Teresa.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We do need to start wrapping up. So I would ask you if there's something that you wanted to share that we haven't touched on. Please, let's do that.
Good question. Gosh, we've covered so much amazing information. I think that one thing that we haven't touched on is the new paradigm of collaboration.
Oh, yes.
And that is, we are not meant to do this alone. We are meant to support each other. Whether it's a conversation like this, whether it's reaching out to a friend, whether it's finding a class that really speaks to you, working with a mentor, There are so many resources available for us now to move into our greatest self. Say yes. Say yes. Don't do it alone. It just grows exponentially when you do that.
I just love that you said that, because it's so true. I mean, that's when I had the original concept for Living Healthy List. I thought, oh, this would be great, to bring people together with that have different messages in health and wellness, personal development, and bringing more fun into life. But, but we're all doing it a little differently. And so when there are people who are searching for, for someone to trust, somebody to, something to believe in, give me something to believe in. Sorry, I had a song in my head. That's why I started Living Healthy List, because I knew, one, I couldn't do it alone. I can only help so many people. Yep. And the same with you. You can only help so many people at one time. This conversation can help so many more people. So in collaboration, the two of us chatting can helps. Oh, I love that you just said that. And I believe in that wholeheartedly, that we're not meant to, we started out as, as a tribe.
Yes.
To support each other and keep each other safe. And, we've gotten away from that, I think, for many years, but we're coming back together in collaboration. And it's, it's in love and faith and, all positivity.
It is. And cultivate your tribe. Feel into who are your people. Yeah. People aren't meant to walk with you your whole life. Some are meant to walk beside you for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And, I hate to say this, but that includes family. We've been told to keep family close no matter what. It's not always the case. It's okay to walk on your own for a little while. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Teresa, do tell us how our listeners can connect with you.
Absolutely. You can go to my website, teresawornstaff.com, and you will find a number of resources, including TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm everywhere. Because I love talking to y'all.
I'm gonna have to check out your TikTok, because I'm just now looking at TikTok going, all right, there are a couple of people I know, love, and trust who are doing this. So I'm gonna check it out.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It is my favorite platform right now. Because everybody's so real. There's no filters. Everybody says exactly what's on their heart. And it's one of my favorite platforms. I do a lot of TikToks.
Okay, so we've just learned, everyone, best place to get Linda, aside from her website, is to go check her out on TikTok.
Yes.
Thank you, Teresa, for this incredible conversation and this lovely connection that we have. I'm so excited that you are now in my world. And I will be in touch. I want to thank our audience. Absolutely, you need to get in touch with Teresa after this, listening to this podcast. Make sure you go over, check out her TikTok, check out her website. I will see you guys next Wednesday. I'm here Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, you can find us on YouTube. You can find the podcast on Anchor, on Spotify, on Google, on Amazon, on all of those places where you find podcasts. And until next week, I leave you with this, of course, as every week: healthy living, happy life. Why? Because we are looking for a healthy lifestyle that works for you. How do you get there? You need to start wondering, and then you can start living that life. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.